from birth to burial, right? Somebody who just came from Guyana, I'm from Guyana, so I'm going to give myself as an example. Somebody who just came from Guyana, know nothing about finance, nothing about taxes, nothing about whatever's going on in America, and I'm going to guide your hand and tell you exactly what you need to do. All the way to the spectrum where now we have an adult, a grandmother, who's going to, maybe pass away in a couple of years and has accumulated a lot of assets and wants to know what to do with all this money, right? Or making sure that when she's gone, it doesn't squander. So that was my first book. The second book, and every one of these books kind of have a story because it tells the evolution of how I've been transitioning and helping different families. So now my second book, This Is Why You Broke, I realized that in this business, you could literally show somebody a game plan and they're still not going to do it. They're going to talk themselves out of it. They're going to be like, oh, well, Odetta, I don't know if I could do this. Let me think about it. I don't know if I have money to save. Like on and on and on, right? And in this book, I talk about the 30 reasons that are keeping us broke mentally, physically, spiritually, and of course, financially, right? And then my third book, Let's Get Rich. Then there's some of us who said, you know what, Odetta, I know this is good, but I'm going to need you to stay on top of me. I'm going to need you to hold me accountable. I'm going to need you to check in with me once a month or, things that I need to do. Because guys, understand that finance is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing thing, right? Maybe in your younger years, you're just thinking about saving some money. And then at some point you get a child. And now you got to think about college planning. And then another time it's about your retirement. And then another time it's about buying a house. So it's ongoing. So Let's Get Rich Journal Planner is the first thing is we want to unblock these mental blocks that we have about money. So the first couple of pages, nothing but money mantra. I will never, ever be broke another day in my life. I am a multi-millionaire. I am the first one. I am the one for my family. Money mantra, because for so long we've told ourselves all these negative things about money. And then Playground Millionaire is my heartbeat. I do a lot of speaking engagements with different colleges, different schools, of course. In fact, this coming Friday, I'm going to be at an all-girls charter school. And about 2 years ago, one of the schools that I was teaching at said to me, well, Odetta, you're so good with kids. Have you ever thought about doing a kid book? And I said, well, not really, but I could do it. Guys, I have so much content on my social media pages, my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook, that I literally pulled one of my students at St. John University and I said, hey, Gianna, I'm going to send you some videos and I'm going to transcribe them. And I want you to turn it into a book. So Playground Millionaire is my fourth book showing you exactly what to do to set your kids up to become millionaires. And I'm going to show you what this strategy looks like because these accounts have been around, but so many people don't know about it, right? And just to kind of give you the scope of all the financial services that myself and Vida and some of us that are on this call, we help people with debt, right? If you know somebody that has debt or you have debt, we can help you with your debt. Obviously, showing you how to set your kids up for college and beyond, right? Some of you might already be retired, and we could show you exactly how to make sure that you do not run out of money, even in retirement, and don't have to come out back in retirement to go work 2-3 days a week, right? And then we do have tax planning. And I say tax planning because a lot of people, they file their taxes, but tax planning is different, right? It's projecting what's going to happen with your taxes in the future and making sure that your money are in the right buckets so you're not paying too much money in taxes in the future. And of course, we do estate plannings, wills and trusts. I have one of my amazing attorney on, Miss Yvette Stewart. She's our business partner when it comes to, people that are in New York that needs help with their wills and trusts. And then of course, wealth asset accumulation. If you own a home, mortgage protection, because guess what? People can get sick at any time, and if they cannot work to pay their mortgage, ultimately we fall into default. And then we cover all types of life insurance, right? So this is the scope of all the stuff we do. So it's a really comprehensive, total financial assessment that we can sit with you and help you with your finance. Now I'm going to segue into why, right? Why is it important to learn about money? Well, number one, we need money for everything, right? Can we agree? We need money for the basic stuff. And I know, some of us say, well, money is the root of evil, right? But I beg to differ. The lack of money is the root of evil. And this is why we see people stealing. This is why we see people, lying. I'm building a house in Guyana, and I just sent the guy $200 just to weed the land. And it's been like a month now, and he just like disappeared, right? It's crazy. So it's the lack of money, right? People who are greedy, people who want more. It's the lack of it that's making them do these things. So when it comes to money, there's 3 rules. The first rule is compound interest. How many of you have heard about Albert Einstein? Anybody? Albert Einstein, if you did, put it in the chat. So Albert Einstein created compound interest. And what is compound interest? That is interest upon interest. So if you're putting your money wherever, right? And let's say you're getting 4%. Well, the formula says you take 72 and you're going to divide it by the rate of return, which is the interest that you're getting. So if you're getting 4%, 72 divided by 4 is 18 years. Your money's going to take 18 years. But how many people are even getting 4%? Or how many people even know about this? Right? So assuming you're getting 4%, let's say you have 10,000 today. At 4%, your money doubles in 18 years. Now you got 20. Another 18 years roll around. Now you got 40. But what is 40,000 going to do in 36 years? Not a whole lot with the way things are going, right? But let's say you're getting 12%. Well, now you take 72 divided by 12, that is going to give you 6 years. So every 6 years now your money is doubling. So assuming you have same 10,000, 6 years, it doubles to 20 versus the person who was getting 4, he has to wait 18 years. So the first rule is wherever you guys are putting your money, you want to make sure that you're getting a high enough interest, and whatever that number is, divided by 72, and that will give you an indication of how many years that money is going to double on you. You want it to double because here you could have 2 individuals, one getting 4%, and they say, oh, Dada, I'm good, girl. I'm getting 4%. I'm good. Okay. And then in 36 years, you wind up with 40,000. But the person who's getting 12% because they know where to put their money, they know where to get that 12%, in 36 years, they got 640,000. So where do you want to be in 36 years? Do you want to have 40,000 or you want to have 640,000? Right? So we are going to show you today where the banks are putting your money. Because right now, every one of us on this Zoom have a bank account. And every one of us that are putting money in the bank account can do this for ourselves, and you become your own bank. Right? So the first rule is look at the interest. We got to have a compound interest, and we want to have a high interest because that's going to double your money. The second rule is, how is the money growing, right? So you could put your money in an account that's going to give you a fixed rate, fixed interest. Most people, that is the bank for us, right? So you put your money with the bank, you're going to get a fixed rate. Here, your money is safe, but it's not going to grow a lot because, again, what are the banks giving us for interest? Nothing much, 0.0 something. And then some people say, well, Odetta, I'm getting good growth. I'm getting way more than what the banks are giving me. Okay. So now you're putting your money in the stock market. And with the stock market, there are no guarantees. Well, actually, there is guarantees that you're going to lose at some point, right? So now you put your money with the stock market and it's going to go up and down. EKG, heart attack, high blood pressure. One time you up, one time you down. I have clients that don't even want to look at their statements because they're afraid and they kind of know that, hey, maybe I lost money. It is what it is. Why am I looking at it to frustrate myself? But what if I tell you, you don't have to? We don't have to lose money because the wealthy people, you know where they put their money? In index accounts. And these index accounts gives you safety on your money and growth on your money. So which would you like to have? Do you want to have it safe but it says low interest, fixed? Do you want to put it in the stock market where you could be rich today but poor tomorrow? Right? Or do you want to have index where you're only going one way up, straight to heaven, right? One way up. Your money's going in one direction. There's no up and down on this escalator. One direction up, all the way up, right? So as we are growing money, we want to make sure that we are protecting that money, because if we're not protecting it, well, you could have a lot of money today, but how much you're going to have when you're 55 or 65 or 75, right? Depending on where your money is sitting. The third rule of money deals with taxation. And boy, they got us good over here, because most people, even tax professionals, are dropping the ball here. And we have a lot of tax professionals in this business, right? So tax account, tax now are your checking, savings, CD, stocks, mutual. When we get paid at our job, we're going to pay tax on that money. And then when we put the money in here, any gains, we're going to get tax again. It's called capital tax gain, right? So these accounts, it is what it is. We're just here to share this education. Tax later are these accounts. These accounts, right? This is your traditional accounts that our jobs are giving us. 401k, 403b, 457, TSB, TDA. All of these accounts that our jobs are giving us, these are tax later account. So Uncle Sam is saying, hey, you good? We're not going to charge you any tax right now. Just grow, put the money away for the future. Does anybody know, what do you think could be the problem with not paying tax today and pushing it off or kicking the bucket down the road to pay it later in the future?
You'll pay at a higher rate.
You will pay at a higher rate, right? You will pay at a higher rate. We have no control over taxes in the future. No control, right? We have no idea how much tax is going to be in the future. But let me ask you something. Inflation, does inflation ever go down or it goes up with time? Are things going to get cheaper in the future, or is things going to get more expensive in the future?
It's going to go up.
It's going to go up, right? It's going to go up. Your income hopefully is going to go up. Taxes are going to go up. Cost of inflation, everything is going to go up. I had a client call me yesterday. He's like, Odetta, I want to get another account, but why is it more expensive? I'm like, what? Everything goes up every year, right? So with these accounts, this is you, and I'm going to give the analogy of, let's say you want to borrow money. Let's say you read my book, If You Ain't Stacking, You're Dropping, and you said, you know what, Odetta, I want to borrow that $100,000 that you saved up. And I said to you, okay, I'm going to give you this $100,000, but I'm not going to tell you. No, I'm not going to tell you how much interest I'm going to charge you on this $100,000. Would you ever borrow money if you do not know how much interest you're going to pay on that money? Would anybody ever borrow money under that circumstances? No. You want to know how much interest you're going to have to pay in the future. Because guess what? The interest is going to dictate if you want to borrow the money or not. Right? Would you ever go into a mortgage not knowing what's going to be the interest on that mortgage? No. So with these accounts, this is what we're doing. We're pushing this money, we're saving this money, which is a good thing, but we're putting it in accounts where we have no control over how much we're going to pay in tax in the future. You don't get to decide that. The government is your silent partner. The government is the one that's going to decide how much tax is going to be in the future. And here's another caveat. The money in here, what happens if you try to take it before 59 and a half? If we try to take that money before 59 and a half, what happens? Does anybody know?
You pay double of the interest rate?
Penalty. I know you pay a penalty.
You're going to pay a penalty. You're going to pay a 10% penalty because, again, this money is for retirement. You're going to pay a 10% penalty and now the taxes. And most people, when they sign up for these accounts, they have no idea. So they get into these marriage or agreement with this 401k, 403b, 457, including myself. I did this, right? Including myself. A lot of us are signing up for these accounts, and it's good that we're saving. But what if you want to take money out for emergency? What if you want, I had a client who works for the Federal Reserve Bank, okay? The Federal Reserve Bank called me to ask me, how can she take money out of her 401k without penalties? There's no way. There's no way. If you are 59 and a half and less, there's going to be a 10% penalty, okay? 10% penalty, and now you got to have to pay the tax. Right? So are these things that people need to know? Absolutely. Now, let's move to the tax-free accounts. And these accounts are a Roth. How many of you have heard about a Roth? Right? Or maybe you have a Roth, and that's a good thing, right? If you have a Roth, make sure you are max funding that every year. If you're under 50, it's going to be $7,000 a year. If you're over 50, that's going to be $8,000 a year. So that is good, right? You're saving in this Roth, and you're not going to pay tax in the future. So that's good. Tax-free money means more money. We love it. All of these other accounts, 529, executive bonus, long-term care, cash value. Again, from the tax perspective, the money is tax-free, which means we get to keep more in the future. However, all of these accounts have pros and cons. Now, how many people on this Zoom, right? And I'm streaming live also. How many people have kids? If you have kids, put a 1, because I absolutely need to touch on a 529, right? If you have kids, put a 1, or maybe you have grandkids, right? Maybe you have nieces, maybe you have nephews. I have nieces and nephews. I don't have any kids, right? So if you're a godmom, you're a stepmom, you're an auntie, you're an uncle, right? You got kids in your circle. Let's talk about the number one ways that the average family, and I'm going to say average, most people are saving money for their kids in a 529 and the bank account. And that is the worst. But we don't know. We don't know what we don't know. Why is it the worst? Well, number one, the bank, we already know how much is the interest at the banks. What are the major banks giving us? Right? 0 point something. You're lucky if you get a high yield checking account, you may get 4%. Right? So the banks, not going to be in your favor, because that's going to show on their financial aid form. They're going to have to disclose that money. And in fact, I have a slide here that shows a comparison of money in the 529, right? The 529 plan versus this index account. The 529 plan is only for college. So listen, I have a lot of nieces and nephews, but there's 2 of them I already know. There's no way they're going to go to college. Right? So if you have kids and they're going to go to college, you may want to open a 529, but it's not the best moves. And I'm going to show you why. Another downfall with the 529, and again, most people have this for their kids. So it's good. I commend them for saving. But there's better options, right? There's good and there's better. A lot of us are good, but a lot of us could be better. So the 529 withdrawals for any other reason will be taxed as ordinary income with a 10% penalty. Because remember, this money is for college. This money is for college. So if the child decides they don't want to go to college anymore, well, now you're going to get penalized 10% and pay the taxes. But what about if they do want to go to college? They're going to get you too. Because now when you're filling out the FAFSA application, assets weigh against you towards FAFSA, scholarships, and grants. So you do or you don't, they're going to get you. You save in these accounts, they're going to get you. Because now you're literally disqualifying yourself from getting free money, grants and scholarship. Because we, the board, the faculty, right, the colleges, university, to us, you got money. So your application gets pushed to the side And we're going to pick up the person who shows 0, and they're going to get the money, right? So we got to be smart how we're saving this money and where we're saving it, right? Now with this index account, the money can be used for anything. If they don't want to go to college, I'm not tripping no more. I'm not getting penalized. I don't have to pay taxes. The money can be used to down payment on a house, start a business, do whatever. Guys, so many of us, when it's time to start a business, there's nothing waiting for us. We have to bootstrap it. We're going to change that, right? So when your son or your grandson come to you and say, hey, Granny, can you help me with this business? Yeah, I can help you. How much you need? That's the conversation we want to have. How much you need, right? Some dreams are not even birthed because they already know, well, my family ain't got no money to help me do nothing. So, some people are deciding not to go to college because they don't want to be bogged down with student loan and they know their family don't have it. That's going to change, right? With the index account, assets do not weigh because we don't even see it. You don't have to disclose it and we don't see it. So guess now who's going to get the money? The person who already got money is who's getting the money, right? So when it comes to these index accounts, let me scroll back up here, right? We said tax-free is the way to go. But if you have a 529, I'm going to encourage you strongly. Make sure you get in touch with us, right? So we could show you what to do, right? Now, how do you build a strong financial foundation? I know everybody's good because I hear it all the time. With that, I'm doing good. That's great. But let's step it up the notch. Let's push it up the notch. Let's get you from good to great. Or let's move you from good to better. Right? So this is where the wealthy people, and I'm going to show you some articles. This is where the 1%, the 5%, the people with money, who understand the money game, who understand taxes, who understand market risk, this is where they're putting their money. They understand that in order for them to have a solid financial foundation, your money has to grow. And I'm not talking growing 0.0% or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4%. You want to have on-cap growth. Whatever the stock market does, 30, 25, 11, on cap. No cap on your money. It's on cap, right? No limitations, right? You want to put your money in accounts where it is on cap. But guess what? You also want to make sure that that same account has a safety growth that you will never ever lose money. So the people that are putting their money in a 401k, 403b, stock market, IRA, that's good. But guess what? You're going to lose money when the market go down. I guarantee you that. Go log into your account. I did too. But because I know what I know, I don't keep a lot of money in those accounts, right? I diversify my portfolio. But then the third thing that we want to watch out for is taxes. Because we know that as the older we get and the more years go by, nothing is going to get cheaper. Things are going to get more expensive. And as long as things are going to get more expensive, we're going to pay more taxes, right? So we also want to make sure that that account is a tax-free account. A lot of people may say, oh, Dad, I got $500,000 in my 401k statement. Well, sorry to burst your bubble. You don't have $500,000. Because that once that money gets taxed and hope and pray the stock market don't do anything crazy, how much you really got, we don't know. But I'm going to show you this account that what you see is what you get because you have guaranteed growth, guaranteed safety, and it's tax-free. And again, nobody knows about these things. And the fourth box is protection. This is what's shielding everything. IRS code 7702, this special account, comes with protection. What are we protecting? Well, let's talk about the tree risk. What if you pass away prematurely? We're not going to be doing these GoFundMe and fish fry. When you have this account, no GoFundMe and fish fry or begging to pass a collection plate around, right? Protection on your life if and when you pass away prematurely. Aren't we all going to die one day? Yes. Nobody's going to get out of here alive, right? But what if you get sick? Cancer, heart attack, stroke, or any major illness. And I say cancer, heart attack, stroke because those three, and I know we're praying people and we believe in faith, but the Bible also teaches us that we got to put things in place. We got to be wise, right? So if we know someday that we're going to get old, we're just not going to get old and die. We may get sick before we die. And if we never get sick, to God be the glory, just go to bed and never wake up. That's the peaceful, good way to go, right? But if you get sick along the way, you lose your job, your disability check is no longer there. So where's the money to keep paying the mortgage? Where's the money to keep paying for the rent? Where's the money to fight the disease? Where's the money because your health insurance is not covering for certain things or you got to go out of network? Where's the money for the extra co-payment because the medication is not being covered by your health insurance? Where's the money? Where's the extra money for that? You want to have a plan that's going to have protection for when these things happen. Chronic, critical, and terminal, right? And then if nothing else don't happen, if you don't die no time soon, prematurely, if you don't get sick no time soon, what are we protecting? Well, we're protecting our assets. We're protecting our money. We're protecting our finances. We're protecting ourselves from people suing you because the higher up you go, you're exposed. And we live in a country where people will sue you in a heartbeat. So you're protecting yourself. You're protecting your assets, right? So I want to show you guys what this all looked like for kids. And I'm going to go with kids. Vita asked me to make sure that I do this special illustration showing a kid. So here we have a 2-year-old. Right? A lot of you, if you have grandkids, right? You love your grandkids. You may be mad at the parents because they're doing their own thing, but you love your grandkids. I know my mom loves all of her grandkids, right? So let's say now you have a 2-year-old and we're setting aside, and by the way, guys, there's a study that shows on average grandparents save or spend about $5,000 a year. $5,000 a year we're spending on our grandkids. So what if we were putting $250 a month, which is less than $8 a day? Less than $8 a day. That's money slipping through the crack easily. But that money is costing us in the future. Let's see. So here, this first column, can you guys see the screen? All right. First column is the, can you guys see the screen? Yes, no? Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you, iPhone. So here's the year, right? And this is the age. So I designed this for a 2-year-old girl, right? And let's say we save $3,000 a year, which is about $250 a month, which is less than $10 a day. About $8 and change, right? So we're going to save this money for little Gianna, right? And we save this money all the way to age, let's go here. All the way to age 24. And because we save this money in this special type of account, well, she's easily accessible for scholarships, grants, and tuition reimbursement. Right? So now the premium cumulative is $66,000. Over the 22-year period, us putting away $3,000 becomes $66,000 is what we actually put in. But a 24-year-old, we can access $117. It's actually more. Because if you notice at the top here, this illustration is at 7.25, and this account historically has performed 10 to 12%. So we're under promising to over deliver, right? 7.25, this projection is showing here, but this account in the last 25 years is between 10 to 12% average. So we are under promising to over deliver, right? So now if you notice here, all zeros, we stop funding. The policy goes on autopilot. This account goes on autopilot. This is an account you never ever want to cancel. Never, right? So now, remember, you're not putting any more money. See all these zeros, zeros, zeros? No more money going in. But the account, look at the cash value. It's increasing. It's only going in one direction, up, 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 up. So what does this mean? If your granddaughter comes to you or her mom and say, hey, I need help for down payment for the house. I need help to start this business. I need help to, I don't know, maybe they're experiencing some hardship. Well, where's the money coming from? Your IUL. Index Universal Life, IUL. We love IUL, right? IUL. So now this one account, now when she's 65, this account also serves as her retirement. Because now she's going to be able to take out almost $100,000 in retirement tax free. And again, this is showing a 7.25 on the promise to over deliver, right? So this account is meeting her entire needs. And I see so many families saying, well, that I'm saving for my child college. But no, we're going to change that. It's not just only for college. It's for a lifetime. And then now when we pass away, the buck doesn't stop there. Because now let's say if she passed away at age 90, well, look at the benefit column. This is the legacy. This is the generational wealth. The Bible talks about leaving an inheritance for your kids' kids' kids. This is how you're going to do this. And because you know better, you're just not going to leave them $600,000 nelly-willy. We're going to put it in a trust, right? Vita told me you guys had a meeting a couple of months ago with one of the pastors at the church who was an estate planning attorney. And that was music to my ears, right? You got to put it in a trust because otherwise this 601 is going to be gone like in 2 years. But the wealthy people don't leave it exposed. They put it in a trust. So guess what? My mom tells me all the time, well, Daddy, you're going to have to give Corey like $5 a week. Because if he gets $1 million straight out, he's going to go out of his mind. No, I got to ration that money for him. Because most people were not financially educated. And if you get a lump sum of money, all we're going to do is just spend it. Right? But now what if we were saving beyond age 25? Because now, let's say this person is an adult. She's done with school. And you know what? I said, you know what? Now you're done with school. I was funding this stuff all the time. Now I want you to be responsible. Now I'm going to pass the baton to you. Now I'm going to teach you financial principles. Now I'm going to teach you how to save your money. I'm setting you up. You're going to set up the next generation. So now the child is working and she can clearly continue this. Because we know they're going to spend money and we know they're going to make money, right? So now let's say we continue funding it after age 25, right? That could be the child taking it over or that could be the parents still funding it. But most likely we want the kids to start getting involved now, right? Because we're teaching them. So now the kids continues to save, right? And now at the age of 65, they can take out almost $150,000 tax-free retirement income. And don't forget, along the way, there was money for everything that's going to happen in our lifetime. Guys, this is amazing. Nobody has anything that was planned out for us. Well, at least for me, in my family, right? And now that I do this business, I know without a shadow of a doubt, if someone had sat with my parents when they came to America 50-something years ago and showed them a plan like this, and this is why I'm big on teaching this education with our community, because if somebody had sat with my parents and educated them on where to save their money. 30 years later, this money could have been their retirement. Yes, maybe they would have saved it to help me along the way, but thankfully, to God be the glory, I did good for myself, and with this knowledge, even better. So this is money that they could have used, because remember, the child is a minor. So when the parents open these accounts for your kids and grandkids, the adult is the owner. So the adult is the one making all the decisions. You don't want to give it to them no more? It's your money. You want to give them some money? Again, it's your money. You make all the decisions. Maybe they turn out to be successful and they don't need a lot of help financially. It's your money. So even though you're saving for your kids and your grandkids, it's always your money first, because you're the owner, you're the adult. So it's a win-win. You just never know which way the wind is going to blow, but it's your money. If they need help, you have money to help them. If they don't need help, well, more trips for you on your retirement, more cruises, more whatever you want to do, right? So I know Vita also mentioned that some of you are already retired. And for the folks that are already retired, you might be saying, well, that I'm already retired. I want to know, what can I do for me now that I'm retired? Well, we thought about you too, right? If you are already retired and you have huge money in your 401k, your 403b, your IRA, maybe money in a CD, maybe a lot of money in the bank, right? Again, banks are going to give you a fixed interest, 1 to 3%. So what are we doing with 1 to 3%? Nothing much, right? But it's better than nothing. Right now, your money's in the market. It's in the stock market, which means it's going to go up and down. And then I have some clients that tell me, well, Odetta, I put my money in a special account, in a cash account, so I'm not really losing, or I'm not really losing much. Well, although that's true, you're also not gaining. You're also not gaining much. So what we recommend is to roll it over to an index account with the insurance company. And now, because this is an index account, you have safety on your money and you have growth on your money. So if the market go up 10%, great, we love it. You got 110%. But what happens when the market goes down? Your gains are locked in. You still got your 110. Your gains are locked in. You don't lose a penny. But if you leave it in the stock market where it's still up and down, in your retirement, you still could be broke. Now, I want to show you a strategy for the folks that still have their money in the stock market and may have already retired, right? You're in your 60s, your 70s, and you've got, good lump sum of money sitting in different accounts. Again, we're going to set up a one-on-one, and I'm going to show you some options for your specific needs. But how many of you know the jingle, Nationwide is on your side, right? So Nationwide is one of our carriers, and this is someone saving who had amassed during their working years $500,000 in their 401k, in their 403b, in their IRAs, right? They have it somewhere sitting, $500,000. Now we can take this $500,000 and roll it over to an index annuity. And again, what is index? Guaranteed growth, no loss. You leave it where it is, you're going to get some losses. It's not guaranteed to not lose. But when you roll it over to an index annuity, guaranteed growth, guarantee no loss. So this company right now is giving, and you guys can see right here, what is this percentage you're seeing? Let me highlight it, right? 30% sign-on bonus with 8.5 compound annually. Who is doing this? Who lied to us is the question. Why most people don't know about these strategies? Why it's only the rich and the wealthy who knows about this? Because if I wasn't in this business, I wouldn't even know about this either. This is why I'm passionate about sharing this, right? So your $500,000 with this 30% sign-on bonus and guarantee growth 8.5 annually for 12 years. Let's look what that looks like. So if I toggle here, your $500,000 from day one becomes $650,000 with a 30% sign-on bonus. And after that, every year, you can see it here, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, guaranteed. There's no guessing here, right? Guaranteed. So now let's say you leave the money for 10 years, you're 65, you leave the money for 10 years, now it's 75, you can walk away with $83,035 per year for the rest of your life. So let's see, how much is that per month? $83,035 divided by 12. That gives you $6,919 per month for the rest of your life. The checks are coming whether you want it or not, right? But most people are going to need more than the checks. The older we get, we're going to get sick. Old age is going to kick in. Some things are going to start breaking down. So let me ask you right now, what do you have that's going to pay you more money in your later golden years when you get sick and cannot work? When we got to go into that nice nursing home, or maybe we want to stay in our nice home and have a home health aid. Where's that money going to come from to pay for the home health aid? Let's not depend on the government, because we know what's going to happen if we're waiting on the government. This administration is not for our people. So many people think about, oh, the government. No, the government is not going to look out for you. You got to look out for your own best interests. Look out for your own best interests. And yes, if the government chips in, that's if, we have no control. If they want to chip in and how much they want to chip in, wherever the coins drop, it's good with me because I got my stuff together, right? But I'm not going to depend on the government. So with these index annuity, for those of you that are already retired, or maybe you have 5 to 10 years in retirement, you want to roll your money over. It's called the rollover into accounts to protect what you have and turn that into a private lifetime pension that's going to pay you for the rest of your life. And then God forbid, when that time comes, the rest goes to your beneficiary. Or God forbid, if depending on what your needs are, and this is why you want to set up a one-on-one, because everybody's situation is going to be different. I have some people that tell me, in fact, I have a client right now on the Zoom, right? He said, hey, I want to make sure when that time comes, the rest of the money continues to my wife. And that's what we did for him. To God be the glory, right? Or somebody may say, hey, when that time's come, the rest of the money, I want it to go to my kids, right? One thing I've learned with our people, we cannot give them all the money at once. You got to structure it in a way where they're going to get bite size. Maybe every month, maybe different milestone, maybe money for when they're buying a house, maybe money when they get their first kid. Everybody's situation is going to be different. So this is why you want to schedule a one-on-one so we could tailor based on what your needs are. For me, it's going to be different. For you, it's going to be different, right? So I think this is the stuff that we wanted to share with you guys tonight. And having these strategies makes a whole lot of difference. And I'm going to show you, if you want to know more about these things, I have a slew of books on my website, right? OdettaKing.com. It's my name, Odetta King, right? These are all books that talks about these strategies that the wealthy have been using. All these books, right? Shirley Chu, IULSAP, Laser Fund, Mark Quinn, Top 25 ways you can use an IUL to secure your financial future. Patrick Kelly talks about the retirement miracle. David McKnight tax-free income for life. Like, why aren't we teaching this in school, right? David McKnight, The Power of Zero. This is going to be in our next book club next month. And Money, Wealth, Life Insurance. Everybody that's on this Zoom, if you send me a text, 973-842-7927, we will gift you this book in a PDF. And I'm going to show you why this book is powerful. Everything that I just showed you today, when I tell you the wealthy be knowing about this stuff, this book's, here, let me go to the first page. This, I wish I had written it. Money, Wealth, Life Insurance. How the wealthy, not poor people, how the wealthy, okay, not middle class, how the wealthy use life insurance. They don't buy life insurance for burial. They use life insurance as a tax-free personal bank to supercharge their savings. Who fooled us? Who fooled us? This is why we got to undo this justice, right? So I want to show you guys some of the famous people, businesses that you are partaking in that have used the same strategy that we're sharing with the average person. J.C. Penney. How did J.C. Penney use this? Fortunately, Mr. Penny, J.C. Penney, the store, had accumulated massive wealth inside where? His cash value life insurance policy, and was able to borrow against them to help the company stay afloat and eventually rebound during the Great Depression. If he hadn't used cash value life insurance as a tool to keep his money safe and accessible, it likely wouldn't have been there. J.C. Penney would have had to close doors a long time ago. J.C. Penney. Let's talk about Walt Disney. How many of you love to take your kids to Walt Disney, right? Walt Disney too. Walt Disney too. At a time when the only amusement park in the country were a rundown attraction, nobody was trying to give this man money to start his dream. No banks didn't want to hear nothing but no theme park or play park. What the hell is this play park? Nobody wanted to lend him money. Nobody. But guess what he did? Guess what he did? Fortunately, Walt was a very savvy individual, known for his success in business and finance, and had been stockpiling cash. Stockpiling. He had been stockpiling cash into his life insurance policies since banks and lenders continued to reject him. Nobody trying to do whatever he was trying to get off the ground. They were rejecting him left, right, and center. But because he had stockpile money in his cash value life insurance, tells you right here, Walt Disney borrowed against his cash value life insurance policy, and in 1955, Disneyland opened its door for the first time. Within 1 year, over 3.5 million people visited the park. It was an instant success. So imagine if he had not known and had stockpiled money in this cash value life insurance, there would be no Walt Disney because nobody was trying to lend him money. So you see, this account, look, he's dead, long gone, and we're still talking about it, right? But it gets better. There's more. Let's talk about McDonald's. You love those fries? I love those fries too. I love McDonald's fries, right? So what did McDonald do? What did he do? For the first 8 years, Ray didn't take a salary and made good use of his two, not one, two cash value life insurance policies to help overcome the constant cash flow problems. Because when you got a business, money has to keep rolling. When you have a business, you got to all the time have money for emergencies. So he had 2 cash value policies, and he did not take any salary. He was just putting the money in his cash value, put the money in his cash value, put the money in his cash value for a constant cash flow problem. He used them to help cover the salaries of his key employees and to pay for any unforeseen expenses. And he even used some of the money to create an advertising campaign around the infamous Ronald McDonald. All these people, right? Stanford University goes on and on. Pampered Chef, it goes on, and millions more. But it gets better. How about the banks? When you and I put your money with the banks, have you ever thought about where's the bank putting my money? They have their own term. It's called BOLI. Bank-owned life insurance. BOLI. So, this book was written in 2017. And in 2017, Bank of America had 19 billion. Wells Fargo had 17 billion. Chase had 10 billion. And US Bank had 5. Now let me ask you, do you guys think these numbers went up or down since 2017? What do you guys think? Up or down?
Way up.
And I'm going to show you, right? We love to show proof here, right? So here's the proof, right? And I'm going to do a side by side. So we said Bank of America, right? Bank of America had 19 billion. Let's see on this website, which by the way, you guys could all pull up this website. It's called usbanklocations.com. It's a public website. usbanklocations.com. Today, Wells Fargo, actually no, Bank of America, which had 19, now Bank of America, right? Where's Bank of America? Bank of America. B-O. No way. Bank of America used to be at the top. I don't even see Bank of America on here. This is not right. I've always seen Bank of America. Wells Fargo 18. Do you guys see Bank of America? Let's see. This is weird. Bank of America was number 1. And now it's not even on the list. Yeah, this is weird. Something must have happened. I gotta look into this. This is weird. Bank of America was number 1. Unless Bank of America had a name change. I gotta research this. Was Bank of America bought out or a name change? No, I gotta look into this. Anyway, so let's continue. So Wells Fargo had 17. Now Wells Fargo is 18. Chase, the book says Chase had 10 billion. Now Chase has 12. And what was the other one? US Bank, 5 billion. US Bank, 7 billion. So the numbers have gone up. Do we think it's gone up because they're planning on burying people? Are they getting more? Because who are they planning to bury? They're not planning to bury anybody, right? They're using the same strategy that I'm educating families on. But guys, it's not only banks. This is the last thing I'm going to show you. All of us have something in our house that the companies are investing and parking their money in these accounts. All of us. If you have Heinz ketchup, or when you go to McDonald's and you get those Heinz ketchup packet, they got their money there. Johnson & Johnson, the baby oil, the lotion, the drugs, they got your money there. How many of you love Starbucks? They got their money there. Avon, Verizon. I have Verizon cell phone. They got their money there. Well, we already know about Walt Disney. You love Panera Bread? They got their money there. How about Bed Bath & Beyond? I love shopping at Bed Bath & Beyond. They got their money there. And the list goes on. Nike, CVS, and the list goes on. So anybody that want a copy of this book, again, text me. Let me pull up my screen again. It's 973-842-7927, right? 973-842-7927. You guys could get a copy of the Money Well Life Insurance book. And then I guess at this point we can open it up for Q&A, or I'll turn it back over to you, Vita.
Okay, thank you so much, Odetta. And I'm sure, ladies, we've learned something. So we'll open up for Q&A now. So do we have any questions for Odetta? Please unmute. I'm sorry, and ask your questions.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. I have a question. So I know there's different types of life insurance. When I was looking for life insurance, they said it's one with health life insurance and one against your work if you're working. Is it possible to make those under one umbrella?
You're a little muffled. What did you say?
Oh. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better, Lawrence.
So when I was looking into life insurance, they were saying that there's different types of life insurance. Like there's one to cover your job, there's one for like your house. So I'm like saying, is there one to get get all of those underneath one umbrella?
Okay, so your job insurance, with all due respect, right? And I wish my aunt was on. She would have been a perfect testimony for this. Job insurance is good, but it's not going to cover you until the end of time. And also, if you leave the job, does it go with you? 9 out of 10 times, no. Also, with your job insurance, they give you either 1 to 3 times your salary. So let's say you make $50,000, maybe they may cover you for $50,000. Maybe they may cover you for more. Maybe they may cover you for less. But what I've come to learn from my aunt, who was a teacher for 40-something years in the education system here, because my aunt is doing this business now, she just found out, because again, she's learning all of this. So she went back to her school and asked them. So with the teacher system in New York, the older you get, they start decreasing the death benefit. So before it was 40,000, as she's getting closer to 60 something, 70 something, then they're going to start decreasing it. So I said to her, well, when you're like 70, what are you going to have? Like just $10,000? Like, no, right? So job insurance, it is what it is. Now, there is homeowners insurance, which is different. But yes, this strategy that I'm showing you, this IUL, can cover everything. It covers your life, and it could also cover your mortgage. So let's say, for example, myself, I'm insured for $3.5 million. Well, my house is not even $1 million. So if I drop dead, well, that $3.5 million, maybe we take $500,000 and pay off the balance in the mortgage. Now the house gets free and clear, and it stays within my family, right? And because it's in a trust, it's protected too. Or let's say if, God forbid, I get sick, my IUL has living benefits. So again, what are the living benefits? This is money now that's going to pay you, right, for when you get sick. Or let's say in your old age, in your later years, right? So you could have, there's different policies, but again, most people are not going to know about it because every company don't have access to everything. Like Primerica will never have, they can't talk about this. They don't offer this product. So depending on which company you're going to, they're going to show you what they have in their product suite. But absolutely, you can get one product that's going to do everything. But again, when we meet with you one-on-one, we'll show you specific for your needs. But yes, it can definitely meet all the needs. And there are different types of life insurance. And that's another big misconception because most people only know maybe one type, the type that you pay for something. And then when you die, your family gets the money. But it's a poor way. We just don't want to just die and not get anything. The type that I'm showing you is money for you and I first while we're alive. This is the money to do all the endeavors. This is the money to start the business. This is the money for retirement. This is the money for I mean, look at the examples, right, of these companies, how they use the insurance cash value to fund their business, or they use the money to do other things while they're alive, right? So there's different types of insurance. And again, Black people, we hear the word insurance and we run away. And I was one of those people, right? If you had told me about this 10 years ago, I would have been like, no, I'm good. I got my burial money. It's not about burial. It's not about burial. The wealthy people don't get this account for burial. They get it to build massive wealth in their lifetime. First and foremost, money for you while you're alive. And then yes, because it is a life insurance, it's going to pay out a death benefit tax-free, right? Tax-free for the next person. Now, if you leave money in a 401k, it's not tax-free, right? It's not tax-free. All right, any other question?
You're saying the trust. We put the money in a trust. We put the money in the insurance company. Just to clarify.
Oh.
The difference between.
So the and actually I'm glad attorney Yvette is on. I don't know if she's able to speak. I'm kind of like, I asked her to sit in on this webinar tonight, but all of your assets right now, ideally, especially if it's big ticket items, for me personally, everything is locked up. Because I know what I know, everything is locked up. And when I say locked up, the beneficiary is the trust. So on my policies, the beneficiary is the trust. On my bank account, the beneficiary is the trust, right? So there's no loophole for it to end up in probate court or end up with some squabble. It's in the trust. So I know your pastor a couple months ago had a meeting on trust, but you want to. And again, this is why I say I'm just giving general info. This is why I'm going to say you have to schedule a one-on-one so we could speak specific. Because right now we're speaking in general, right? And everybody's situation is going to be different. But I don't know if Attorney Yvette, do you want to mention anything about the trust and the insurance? If you're able to speak, I know I'm just impromptu, but if you cannot, it's fine.
Can you see me?
We sure can.
Okay, well, I can't see myself, so that's not, I don't even know what's going on. Good evening, everyone. Like I said, for some reason, I am unable to see myself, but I will make the best of it and just speak to you guys for a few minutes. So my name is Yvette Stewart. I am an attorney here in Brooklyn, New York. So good evening, everyone. I am glad to have to be able to take a few minutes to speak to you all about trust. As always, Odetta gave a fantastic presentation about building wealth for you and your family. I am an estate planning attorney, so I draft wills and trusts and powers of attorneys and things of that nature. So just to piggyback off of Odetta's presentation, sometimes we have assets or we know people that have assets and they're going to retire or, they have assets, but they're just not quite sure how to protect them and they don't know what to do with them at some point. So I always suggest estate planning because as Odetta mentioned, at some point we're going to get old. And at some point, we're going to get sick. We may not have a terminal illness, but we're not going to have the same spunkiness that we did when we were 25, right? When we were 25, you could run faster, you can walk and not get out of breath or not even realize that, hey, man, I've been walking for 45 minutes. As you get older, I walked 1.5 miles the other day, and I was with my daughter, and after a mile, I was like, listen, we got to stop. I'm gonna take a breather. I'm tired. And she's like, Mom, we've only walked 1 mile. I said, I'm not young. I'm not your age anymore. So these are the things that we need to think about. And in doing so, as Odetta mentioned, we have to build wealth and sort of plan what we want to do for the future. So I always suggest having a healthcare proxy because we can get sick at any time. And if you look around, people are dying. Young people are dying. At one point, it would be, oh well, they were older, they reached the right age, but now there are people in their 40s having strokes. It is crazy. Heart attacks, and those are pretty much silent killers, right? You don't always get warning signs, or even if you do, just being the person that you are, sometimes we ignore them, especially men. Men, things happen, they might feel a pain here or there, and they're like, and they don't think about it. But women tend to be more proactive with their health. And I'm saying that for the purpose of setting up a healthcare proxy. A healthcare proxy designates an individual to act on your behalf in the event that you're unable to do so for yourself. And then we have the power of attorney, which is like a financial healthcare proxy. So the same way you would appoint someone to handle your medical, anything that happens to you medically. With a healthcare proxy, you would do the same with a power of attorney. A power of attorney is for finances. So if you are incapacitated or for some reason you can't get to to the bank, maybe you're in the hospital, having a power of attorney will allow someone to act on your behalf. And keep in mind, a power of attorney is only valid while you are living. And then third, I draft trust. Well, let me back up. I'll start with a will because a will is actually more common. So typically a will designate who gets what upon your death. And then you have a trust. A trust is also a way to protect your assets. What it does is it leaves you, typically you would be the beneficiary of the trust. You would be the trustee. Okay, and so if you're the trustee, you maintain control of your assets, and then you would specify who you want to become your beneficiaries in the event of your passing. So these estate planning documents are all very necessary when we are planning for the future. So I would, hopefully, you would reach out to Odetta, and she would be able to tell you more about what she offers, the IULs and things of that nature, and how you can grow your assets so that you don't have to work as hard, or even if you've retired, how you'd be able to make your money last longer, how you can spread it out throughout your family, whether it be, your children or your grandchildren. But our goal, pretty much, or I should speak for myself, my goal is to, leave a blueprint, a footprint here, and then pass on not only wealth, but knowledge and information to my children as well as my community. So Odetta is the go-to person for showing you how to grow your money, and I want to be your go-to person to show you how to keep it.
There you go.
So do anyone have any questions? No? Okay, well, I'll be working with Odetta, and you will see me from time to time in her office. I'm also participating in some of the upcoming events that she has, and I look forward to meeting you.
What is your number and name?
My name is Yvette, Yvette. The last name Stewart, Stuart. My phone number is 917-803-1449.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So guys, I want to wrap up by, does anyone have any question before we wrap up? Okay, so if not, I'm going to direct you to my website, and let me pull that up. So I'll also put it in the Zoom chat. Let's see. We are very active in the community. My office is, Vida, can you put in the chat odetaking.com/health and wealth. Our office is at Flatbush Junction. We can't miss it. We're at the corner of Nostrand and Avenue H, right by the Flatbush Junction where there's a Target. And like I said, our goal is to disseminate this information to the public. Next week, this coming Thursday at 9 p.m., so that's March 27, 9 p.m., we will be having a tax and business owner planning workshop. So if you know anybody that is a business owner, or maybe, they make a lot of money and they need to learn more about tax strategies, we're going to have one of our tax experts, Miss Myra Arcos, is going to be doing a presentation on primarily for taxes and business owners to show them how they can keep more of their money and not pay taxes legally, right? On Saturday, April 5th, at my office, 2174 Nostrand Avenue, we're going to have our vice president for our region with Transamerica. He's going to be in the office, and this is open to the public at 3:30 p.m. on April the 5th. And you guys are all welcome if you want to. Again, this is going to be an in-person event, so if you live in the Brooklyn, New York area, you're more than welcome. You'll just click on this link and you'll register yourself. And I highly, highly encourage you guys. For most people, this is the first time they're hearing this information. So we understand that you're going to have questions. We understand that you're like, oh my God, I never heard about this. Is this thing legit? Yes, it's legit. It's insurance, and insurance are backed by the government. They're backed by the state, right? So if you live in New York, come on out, meet us, and get more education. Get more education on these strategies that the wealthy people have been using, right? And this is why I say, make sure you text me. My number's right here, 973-842-7927, so you can read for yourself. A lot of us, we go to YouTube or we go to Google, and those are just opinions. I'm a professor. We don't do opinions, right? We get the intellectual, studied, proved, tried, right? So no, we don't, we're not, who's talking these things on YouTube, right? Could be my nephew, Corey, just writing some random stuff on YouTube. We also have in New Jersey, we have our annual conference, our quarterly conference. This is going to be Friday, April 25th. It's from 5 to 9. And then on Saturday from 9 to 5, this is going to be our convention. Again, if you're entrepreneurial, if you're into self-development, if you want to learn more, if you want to level up, our convention is going to be in Newark, New Jersey. And again, Vida or myself, just reach out to us and we'll fill you in more. And for all business owners on these dates, again, at our office, Flatbush Junction, we're going to be having 4 series of pop-up shops. And these are for small business owners who want to promote their business, who want to get more clients, and who just want to come and share what they have to offer to our community. And the May 31st date is already sold out. We said we were going to have only 10 vendors, and so far we have 12. So we still have a couple of dates for June 28, September 27, and October 25. What are we going to learn there? Well, we're going to be mingling with the vendors. We have an amazing lineup, and believe it or not, a lot of them are my clients, because they have their businesses. And I said, hey, let's, come on and promote your business, and I'll give you guys a chance to talk about what you do, because everybody business in some way, shape, or form, we're already buying those things. So let's support our own and shop from our Black-owned businesses. All right, so that's happening on the 31st. It's totally free to the public, so you guys could come as guests and get to mingle, network, eat, shop, drink, learn. And to schedule your one-on-one, again, you could either text Vida or myself, or text the person who invited you on this webinar, or you could schedule a one-on-one right here. And we're very, very big on sharing this information, like I said a million times. So if you are part of a church, a school, library, daycare, nursing home, nonprofit organization, a community organization, a company, and you want to have me come in and speak, like I'm sharing this information with you, right? You'll schedule a time with us, let us know what the company is about, the location, the size, the address, number of people. And again, we can come in and do a free presentation to share this information with our community. All right. So all of this you could find on my website, odettaking.com/health and wealth. I think, Vita, let me put it. Health and wealth. Yeah, the health and wealth is all one word. All right, guys. Thank you so much for allowing us to share. And I'll turn it back over to Vita.
Question.
Yep. Okay, hi.
Question. How can we if you have a friend or a family to hear this presentation that you did to us for us today, how can we arrange that? Like, you have any that you can tell them, you invite?
Yes, yes, we do webinars every night, Monday through Thursday, right? So there's one tomorrow, Monday, 9 o'clock. There's one Tuesday, 9 o'clock. There's one Wednesday, 9 o'clock. And then, of course, Thursday. This is the only one you have to pre-register for. But this one, again, this one is mainly geared toward business owners and taxes. But if you want to hear the same stuff that I did today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 o'clock. And then I do the Thursday at 7:30. So, just shoot us a text with the person info, and then we'll make sure that, as a matter of fact, everybody should shoot me a text, because what will happen is that we'll be sending you guys out the reminders for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or any event that I mentioned here today. We'll send you a text message to remind you.
Also, Sister Beryl, if you have, let's say it's 3 or more people, we can do a small webinar. That's like the one we have today. Once you have enough people, like let's say 5, whatever.
Yes.
Even if it's a one-on-one, because a lot of times this webinar is broader, but to get down to like the individual, it's always better to do a one-on-one. But if you have a few people, we can do a smaller webinar.
And we can also come to the church as well, right? Because anything to get us in the door, and also maybe be part of, because I know Karen, I think Karen is on. We do a lot with churches, especially if they're in Brooklyn. So if you know, you guys are part of a church, you're involved in the church, or even if you're not like actively involved, but you go to a church, we could, you know, see if we could, whether it's a Zoom or in person. So we could come to you at the church, or we could do something on Zoom for a group of people, and then ultimately schedule a one-on-one to see how we could be specific for that person's specific needs.
Okay, I know we went over our time, ladies, but I'm sure you've learned a lot tonight, and I'm so thankful that everyone stayed on. And I'm sure as I said, I'm sure you learned something. So if you need more information, you can always contact me or Odetta. Our information is in the chat. And thank you so much, Odetta, for your usual insightful information. And so thank you again. Sister Debbie, you want to say anything? Sister Debbie.
I'm sorry, yes. Okay, sorry, yes.
That's okay.
You fall asleep? You here for the money?
Sister Debbie, are you retired or are you still working?
I'm still working.
Okay, good. And what about Sister Beryl? Are you retired or still working?
Still working.
All right, we still in the game. All right, so that's why we got to make sure we put things in place so when you do retire, you're in a better place, right? So definitely let's schedule a one-on-one with you guys to be specific and show you what you can do, especially if you're still in your working years. I don't know how old you are, if you're in your 50s, your 40s, your 30s. But the younger we are, it's better because we have more time. But if we're like 5 to 10 years out to retirement, then we don't have a lot of time. We need to put things in place and just, you know, move a couple of things around to make sure we're protecting what we have.
Well, I'm close to retirement, so. Well, anyway.
Nice.
I thank
What's
you.
the danger?
And I thank you, Sister Rita, for presenting this with us, sharing this with us. And we do appreciate it. thank everyone for coming out. And we have learned a lot. And it's just for us to act on what we have learned. At this time, I'm just going to ask that I'll just say the doxology. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Amen. If anyone would like to get into a church, we are there on Flatbush, 1440 Flatbush Avenue. Please feel free to join us on Sundays at 11 a.m. for our morning worship. And we are also on Zoom on Wednesday evening from 7:30. Please feel free to join us at any time. Thank you. Have a blessed evening. Good night.
Thank you too.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.